Good evening, Demon fans, and welcome to the Demonland podcast. My name is Andy, and joining me once again, my co-host, Grapeviney. Good evening, Grapeviney.
Good evening, Andy.
And joining us in a little bit later in the program will be Super Mikado, aka at Demon Blog, to discuss our incredible victory over the Cats. Because in a moment, we'll be chatting with Demon Rookie Charlie Spargo. If you would like to join our program tonight to discuss any of the topics that we talk about, you can give us a call on 039016 3666, or you can Skype us at Demonland31. If you're listening to the show live, you can join us in our chat room where you can ask questions or post comments by heading over to demonland.com/podcast. If you're listening to this at your leisure via SoundCloud on demonland.com or via iTunes or an Android podcasting app, be sure to subscribe to the show to receive updates when a new show drops. Don't forget to leave us a favourable review to help more people find us. And you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Demonland31 or on Twitter at Demonland or Instagram on Demonland at Demonland31, or search for us on YouTube by searching for Demonland Podcast. And you can listen to some of the interviews that we've conducted with current and past players and coaches. Or if you just love talking about the Dees 24/7 all year round, why not join up to Demonland.com and chat with other Dees fans in the asylum? It's completely free. And now with that out of the way, Grapeviney, did you lose your voice on the weekend like I did?
I preserved it, actually, Andy, because it was nearly gone at about quarter time. So, and I had a splitting headache very early in the second quarter from shouting so much. So I had to tone things down a little bit. Otherwise, I wouldn't have seen the end of the match. But I was pretty husky for a day or two afterwards. Yep.
See, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the finals football, because I used to back in the 90s and early 2000s. I used to lose my voice on a regular basis, but I haven't done that. And maybe I'm a bit older. I don't know if I've mellowed out. I still yell at the umpires, but I think I lost my voice, and I had lost it I only really got it back yesterday. But I think I lost it, not from the shouting at umpires and stuff like that. It was more the roar. Like, particularly, I think I really lost it after the Hannon goal. Just that type of cheering did it for me. So, yeah.
How many times have you watched the Hannon goal on replay yet?
Oh. And there goes... We'll just have to hang up on that. Damn Skype. The new version of Skype, you can't mute the sounds. So I'll have to work that out on that one in a moment. If someone was trying to call the show now, we won't not taking calls at the moment because we're going to be speaking to Charlie in a moment. We will take your calls after that. We're happy to take calls, so give us a call back after the Charlie Spargo interview. Sorry, what was that, Grapeviney?
How many times have you watched the Hannon goal on replay?
I've watched it multiple times with multiple different commentators and different versions of songs. Just trying to find that right mix. BT's commentary wasn't great. I don't think he understands lengths and how much 5 metres is. Because Hannon, according to him, Hannon ran about 7,000 metres.
Yeah, and he got metres and minutes mixed up
Yes.
just before that, extended it by 35 minutes, so he didn't know what was going on. And as you say, it was a pretty dull call. The Gerard Whateley call on SEN was probably the best. I haven't seen it put to the vision yet. I like when they pair up the best audio with the TV footage, so I haven't seen that pop up yet.
You will be able to... No, that has popped up. I've seen that.
I'll have to have a look.
Should be able to find that one pretty easily. What we'll do now, we're going to go grab Charlie. We'll get Charlie on the phone. Put you on. We'll put you back on the audio you were hearing pre-show, and then when we come back, we'll have Charlie Spargo. So we'll be back in a moment, guys.
Pick 29 in the 2017 draft, Charlie Spargo. And there he is, taking a mark at half forward. A fantastic footy family.
Inside 50 once again. Scouting is the young. Kicks for goal. And he's pumped. Get around him. Spargo gets his first.
They're having a crack, and that's Charlie Spargo, not surprisingly, who's in that blue too, Jason.
Got a 19-year-old kicking from 40 metres. The drop punt is on its way, and it's good. He's got two, this young man.
He just looks like an actual footy player, Chief.
Doesn't he?
And he does this.
Our guest tonight made his debut against the Bombers in round 6 at Etihad Stadium, and in doing so made football history, becoming the only family to have produced 4 successive generations of VFL, AFL players. His tenacity and hard work have seen him keep his spot in the team, despite stiff competition for spots in what is a very dynamic forward line. Welcome to the Demonland podcast, Charlie Spargo.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
So, Charlie, we know you're meant to have moved on and you're concentrating on the coming week's game against the Hawks, but you still surely must be buzzing from Friday night's win.
Yeah, certainly. It's easily the biggest crowd I've ever played in front of. I'm not sure about the other guys, but I think it was 91,000 or around the mark, and I did take my time before the game when we were running out, when I was warming up, and then towards the end when I thought we had it wrapped up, and then once the siren went, I did take my time to savour it all in. It was pretty special moment, and I know I've considered myself pretty lucky to come into a side in my first year and be able to play finals. Like I was talking to Nathan Jones before the game, and he was saying, don't take it for granted, because he came in and played finals in his first couple of years and then didn't play again for 12 years. So yeah, pretty lucky.
Fingers crossed that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, that's right.
Playing in front of 91,000 people, from the crowd perspective, it certainly felt like most of the crowd was barracking for Melbourne. Did you get a sense of that out on the field, that it was a Demons crowd?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was when Geelong ran in to open goals a couple of times and they missed from probably 15 metres out or something like that. It seemed like that when Geelong was missing, it was actually louder than when they were kicking goals. So, yeah, it definitely seemed like Melbourne had a lot more people there.
Oh, yeah. From a supporter's perspective, we definitely got that sense as well.
Yeah.
Charlie, you played in an elimination final in just your 16th game, which is a dream come true for any youngster. What were your expectations coming into the season? Was it just to get a senior game? Could you even anticipate that you would be playing in September?
Yeah, I was just really hoping to play some sort of senior footy. I had a shoulder injury coming into pre-season, so I wasn't sure how that would affect me in terms of selection, how fit I'd be coming into the season. And then in my first VFL game for the year, I got suspended for a week. So I sort of didn't have much continuity earlier in the year, and I wasn't sure whether I was going to play. But, yeah, pretty lucky to come in when I did, when we started winning some games. And, yeah, very privileged to be playing in the finals in my first year.
Were you nervous at all in the days leading up to Friday night's game or during the pre-match? What was the overriding emotion in the lead-up?
I tend to not be too nervous in the few days before a game, but on the day of a game, I really do get nervous, especially a night game. You sit around all day sort of waiting for it to happen. So I tried to do my best to get out of the house and keep my mind off it, but, yeah, it was tough.
Charlie, you made your debut against Essendon in round 6 and you had an encounter with Brendan Goddard, who it's fair to say isn't the most popular of players amongst opposition fans. What did you say to him?
No, there was actually nothing said between us. It was just a bit of jumper punching and a bit of a wrestle. It actually wasn't. There was a contest and he sort of nabbed me, so I gave him a push, and then one thing led to another. We were on the ground wrestling, but no, there was actually nothing said. It was a bit weird.
You don't mind cracking in, do you?
Yeah, no, it's not too bad. My dad obviously played a fair bit of footy, and so did his dad and stuff like that, and they always taught me you can't deviate off the line of the ball, so I try my best to do that.
Just on that, your debut created history, the Spargos becoming the first family to produce 4 successive generations of players. And just for our listeners, to let them know, your great-grandfather, Bob Sr., played 65 games for Footscray and 2 games for the Demons. Your grandfather, Bob Jr., played 80 games for Footscray, and your father, Paul, played 90 games for North and Brisbane. You also had a great uncle, Ricky, who played 60-odd games for Footscray in the late 60s and early 70s. It's quite a pedigree. Your dad was on hand at the jumper presentation ceremony before the Essendon game. It must have been a special moment for you and the family.
Yeah, it was, and Dad was very proud of me that day, and I'm very grateful for, obviously a lot of footy in my bloodlines, and they've helped me out a fair bit. Dad's always, whenever I need advice, Dad's always helped me out with that, and then so is my grandpa Bobby. Never met my great grandpa Bob Senior, but yeah, a lot of things that have been passed down from him keep getting passed down to me. So yeah, pretty special that it could be fourth generation, and yeah, Dad was certainly pretty proud when I got to play.
You talked about, that you don't really get nervous in the days leading up, but on game day you do. But is it true that you slept in on the morning of your debut, and also that you didn't know how to even get to Etihad Stadium?
Yeah, that's right. I knew how to get to Etihad Stadium, but I wasn't sure. I don't think many people were sure because Melbourne don't really play there that much, as far as I know. But I didn't know which car park entry to go in, so I had to follow Bailey Fritz in, who actually didn't know either because he hadn't played there before. So yeah, I slept in till probably about 10, which was good. Less time to think about the game, and then had a bit of trouble getting in, but sorted it out.
Yeah, Charlie, we've spoken about your footballing family. Did you always want to play professionally growing up?
Yeah, I did. Dad never put any pressure on me to play. Of course, he was always very supportive of me in whatever I wanted to do, whether that was study or footy or whatever. But yeah, I always felt like I wanted to play AFL, especially around probably when I got to probably about 16. I started playing some good footy in the under-16s and the Nationals, and I sort of thought that I was a bit of a chance, so I decided to put my head down and ended up getting drafted.
Along the way, were you ever told that you weren't tall enough to make the grade? And if so, how did you respond to opinions like that?
I actually had a lot of support from whatever coach I had. No one ever really... I didn't really not get picked because of my height and stuff like that. So, yeah, I was pretty lucky that I didn't have many people telling me I couldn't do it. But in saying that, whenever I'm playing, I really don't worry about my height at all. It's more when I was off-field during my draft years and stuff like that, I was thinking perhaps they'll pick someone else ahead of me because they're taller and they might project a bit better at AFL level. But when I'm playing, I really don't worry about it at all.
There's been a lot of conjecture on the forum that we're all on about your nickname. Some people think it might be Sparky, others call you Spartacus. Can you put the debate to rest? What do the boys call you?
Yeah, I haven't heard those two around the club. That must be fan nicknames, but I know I get a fair few different ones. Sparks has sort of been my one I've had my whole life. That's what most people sort of catch on just because of my last name. But one that's been developed this year from a few of the coaches is Jack Sparrow. I don't know where it came from, but yeah, I've got a fair few nicknames. It's a bit weird. I sort of don't know what to respond to sometimes.
To be fair, one of the ones that my co-host Jason mentioned, Spartacus, was we were at the Gold Coast game you played on the Gabba, and I think there was just a drunk guy in the crowd who was calling you Spartacus. So between us, that's where that came about. There seems to be an incredible camaraderie among the playing group. Where does that come from, and how do you build something like that just seems so authentic and genuine?
Yeah, well, I think Simon Goodwin, the coach, he drives it a lot. He drives togetherness. That's one of our pillars that we like to sort of pride ourselves on in our culture is having, being very close with one another, and togetherness sort of drives us within games. We can sort of turn to each other maybe when the other team's got momentum or something and feed off each other. And I know, prior to me coming, they've been building a culture for a while that sort of supports that. So, yeah, pretty lucky to step into it the way it is.
We hear a lot these days about players playing their role. What's your role specifically? Do you have certain KPIs you need to meet? Does it change from week to week? What are Goody's instructions to you other than obviously to bring pressure, which seems to be a key theme across the field?
I think one of my natural sort of strengths is my running ability and my pace and fitness. So I'm encouraged from the coaches to run and open up space and work hard as much as I can. So, yeah, obviously you got your traditional small forward stats such as pressure and goals. But, yeah, running and providing options is probably another thing that I'm encouraged to do.
We hear a lot of people sort of saying that, the first year players sort of tire towards the end of the season. Are you finding that you're getting tired towards the end of this season? It's a long season now with finals as well.
Yeah, it is certainly a lot longer than I know a lot of other first year players would have had before, and you do feel somewhat fatigued, probably round 18 to round 22, but. In saying that, the high performance staff at Melbourne have done a lot for the first year players at Melbourne to sort of manage this because they know it's a load that we've never really had before. So if there's a parts of the week where you can sort of have off or rest, they'll give it to you to ensure that you're at your best come game day on the weekend.
And do you think your role will change in the future? Can you see yourself playing in the midfield at some stage?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. I've done a bit of work with the mids this year. I've been up on the wing, a couple times this year, but I'll sort of just do whatever's asked of me. I did play midfield a lot when I was younger, in under 18s and stuff like that. So I still feel like I could be a midfielder, but yeah, whatever Melbourne asks of me, I'll do.
Is there a senior player or players who you turn to for advice?
Probably Alex Neil-Bourne and Jake Melksham, two of the leaders in the forward line that sort of play similar roles to me. I like to feed off and ask questions. Tom McDonald as well, just being the general forward line leader. So Alex Neil-Bourne, he obviously a very hard worker and a great tackler. So that's sort of the type of player I'd like to be one day. And then Jake Melksham, his marking craft and his one-on-one stuff's pretty good. So I sort of like to watch those two guys.
One last one before we let you go. You did a Q&A with the club where you listed rapping as your hidden talent. Can you tell us a little bit about that? You want to make your rapping debut on the Demon Land podcast?
I will not make my rapping debut on the Demon Land. I don't like to share it that much. I just like rap music in general, and we had to do some performances earlier in the year in front of everyone on our own. So. Me and Chris Petracca and Christian Sale and Jack Finey, we did a rap song in front of everyone. We went pretty well.
Very nice. Well, Charlie, congratulations on the incredible debut year you've had to date. You've certainly exceeded all expectations that supporters have for any first-year player and then some. So best of luck for the rest of the season and beyond. We're very excited with what we've seen so far and what's to come in the future. So thank you for your time tonight.
Thanks, Jason and Andy. Thanks for having me, boys.
Not a problem. Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Well, that was Charlie Spargo, rookie Demon, and he's had a fantastic year. We've said it week in, week out that he's really exceeded all expectations that we expected when he got drafted, and keeps doing all the one percenters and chips in for goals here and there, and I'm really wrapped with the season he's had, and I look forward to him in the future.
As an interview subject, he's a bit like how he is on the field. He's mature beyond his years a bit. Certainly didn't sound like we were talking to a young kid, did it? Agree with everything you said there.
Yeah, no. Look, I think all the guys that we've interviewed this year have sort of been similar. All sort of seem to have a good head on their shoulders, and I've been wrapped with the guys we've spoken to because they all seem to be, sort of like upstanding citizens. So, there was. Do
you reckon the club's keeping the dickheads away from us?
I don't know.
And not putting them to air?
Well, you know what? It's good experience for Charlie as well. Like to come on, speak to us before he gets into the big leagues.
True.
Super Mercado, are you? Oh, well, you won't be on the. Are you on the line?
Well, speaking of dickheads being put to air, yes, I am.
Thank you for making that segue. I didn't want to do that to a co-host, but yes, welcome to the podcast. Did you? I know I have sort of spoken that you did lose your voice.
I did. I put it away. I'd been ill all week, and then the singing of the theme song absolutely shredded it to pieces for the next few days. I can't even remember the last time I sang the theme song. I think when we started to pull out of the depths a few years ago, I made a vow to myself not to sing it until it was worth it.
Oh, so you don't sing the theme song on a weekly basis?
Not regularly, no. I like to keep it for a real throat shredding massacre rendition like I did last week and just totally destroy my voice in celebration.
So I don't like to sing it before the game. I don't know if it's a superstition or not, but I certainly, if we have a good win, we'll be singing it at the end and ask for it again and again. I think we get it 3 times. Did they play it 3 times for us?
Yep.
I love it. Well, let's talk about the game. Amazing, wasn't it? That first quarter was just we came out firing out of the blocks and just put them to bed very, very early. What are your thoughts, boys, on the first quarter? Grapevine, I'll start with you.
Well, it went like a dream, basically. I think apart from perhaps the first 2 or 3 minutes, where Geelong sort of seemed to be on top in those very first minutes. We then settled in really quickly. The tackling was ferocious and brutal, as it was all night. And, look, a lot of our ball use was really good, hitting up targets. Sam Wiedemann and Tom McDonald marking everything. It couldn't have gone any better that first quarter.
Tom McDonald's first quarter was fantastic, particularly that first 15 minutes. He was marking absolutely everything, and that absolutely set up a win, I reckon. I think he only kicked 1 goal then, but just that marking, getting the crowd involved, it all went a big way. Super Mikado?
Yeah, and kicking those early goals is important as well, isn't it? Like McDonald kicked his first, and yes, he did go on to miss the others, but Wiedemann also kicked his first, and it helps them and the side settle.
There was those first couple of minutes when Geelong looked like they were on top, and I was starting to nervously adjust the collar a bit. But I think once they botched one opportunity and once we got our tails up, there was certainly no hint of finals nerves by the boys. They just absolutely smashed in, and I think quite frankly scared a lot of the Geelong players, and the ones that are unscarable, like Joel Selwood, they psychologically got under their skin in other ways. And there was a couple of hints of comeback, but it set it up to the point where they could never even get close enough to launch a decent comeback. And the game was practically, as we know now, won by quarter time. It was fantastic.
Absolutely. We had probably one of the best tackling performances I've seen from us pressure-wise all over the field. It was almost the opposite of the round 23 game last year, where did we not lay a tackle in the first 10 minutes or something?
10 minutes, yep.
This was just a tackle fest the whole game, and it was ferocious tackling.
And smothers.
Jordan Lewis, a couple smothers, and just fantastic. Great to have Viney back.
11 tackles. I actually thought at one stage that we might run out of gas because we were putting so much effort and intensity into that pressure game. I thought we might just be weary late in the game because we were throwing them about. And as Super Mikado said, I think we put the fear of God into them because and it's been said by all the commentators in the wash-up, we basically bullied them into submission.
Yeah, absolutely. And cut off and even though Selwood, on paper had a good game statistically, like cutting the big 3 off and holding Hawkins reasonably well compared to last time. I think they're lesser lights. That was a very good example of when the bottom 6, so to speak, comes in. The difference between the two is really important because our bottom 6 was a lot more useful than theirs. I think there was a point in the first quarter where everyone on our team had a possession when they still had about 10 players that hadn't touched the ball yet.
Yeah, I heard that stat. That's amazing.
Wasn't it great to see Duckwood get sucked in just in front of the interchange bench there, and obviously Tom Hawkins had the ball taken off him and we got the free kick. But for all that they've done to us over the years, and most recently being that milked free kick that Dangerfield got, and which Selwood congratulated him on down at the Cattery, it was great to get a bit of our own back, wasn't it?
And there'd also been earlier where Neville Jetta tackled him and he basically tried the usual trick of, getting down lower to get the free, and all it ended in doing was having Neville's shoulder smash him right in the head. So just live by the sword, die by the sword, I suppose. And well done to the umpire for not that he was deliberately trying to milk the free with the shoulder to the head. That was just collateral damage. But well done to the umpire for not getting sucked in by the visual and paying the free against Neville.
Yep.
Well done to the umpires in general, actually. It was probably got a few ropey ones in our direction, but bloody hell, it's about time.
Oh, absolutely. I was going to say it's about time we did. That free kick to against Selwood on the boundary, what did you think of that? Was that there?
Yeah, definitely.
Letter
Absolutely.
of the law, yes. I mean, I wouldn't pay it in an ideal world, but to the letter of the law, I think, yes, hard to argue it.
We would have been filthy had it been the other way and we were kicking for goal and that happened to us. So
disgrace.
I sort of always judge free kicks by how would I be if the roles were reversed.
If that was the reverse, I'd be ropeable with our player.
That's true.
It would depend who it was.
That's true.
If it was Lewis,
what a disgrace! But if it was someone more expendable, someone who's a designated whipping boy, let's just say, for instance, Jack Watts in the past.
I don't think Jack
Wharton or something like that. Oh, you idiot! What are you doing?
I don't think Jack would have ever done anything like that. He's too nice.
That's true. That's true. They're not exactly the fighting types.
No, like you'd get angry at Jordan Lewis for doing something like that because he should know better. And so I think that's probably a better thing considering Selwood's the captain and he should know better. But that was fantastic. Love that. Look, I didn't have any concerns about Jack Viney coming in, not having played a lot of football. How long's he been out? 6-7 weeks?
Yep.
I didn't have concerns, and he certainly showed, his worth because you can't buy pressure like that. As you mentioned, Grapevine, 11 tackles, and that one in the middle. I know Selwood fell over, and he just pounced on him, and then it ended up in Nathan Jones' goal. Just beautiful stuff.
And you've watched the highlights too much when before you came on, I was listening to the highlights and I could visualise absolutely everything as if I was watching it just from listening to them call it. And that was a good one because I think Selwood had a sook when he got tackled as well because you hear the umpire
fair tackle
tell him bad luck, fair tackle.
Yeah. Well, if you slip over, you've played on and slip over and get caught. That's dropping the ball or holding the ball every day of the week.
Their players whinged all night. All night they whinged. Every single contest. Selwood probably the chief protagonist.
I enjoyed Ablett blaming his teammates for the smothered kick on the boundary line.
Did he?
Yeah.
He started pointing.
He loves to point.
It's like, that's such a cliched thing. I think it was even in a Fox Footy ad earlier this year. It was like, when you stuff something up, just point and make it look like you're to take the heat off yourself.
Yes.
Sam Wiedemann, has he arrived? Do we need to see more? Certainly was taking those marks, kicking the goals, a lot of possessions. What do you have? 24 possessions, 7 marks, 3 goals. Certainly his best stats and best game.
I mean, talk about performing on the big stage. So, couldn't ask for... I mean, he must be pinching himself that the spots opened up and he's absolutely put it to good use. Talk about taking your chances.
What I've always felt about Wiedemann, and I think I've even said it on air before, is that every time he got the ball, he looked good. He just didn't get the ball enough. Then in the last 3 weeks, he's lifted his possession, his record number of possessions every week for the last 3 weeks. And yes, when he gets the ball, he looks great. So there was never any question about his talent. It was just a matter of getting the ball into his hands more. And we've managed to do that the last 3 weeks. And he's been absolutely incredible. And it was extremely exciting to hear everyone yelling "weed" at the same time. Yeah. When he got the ball. So that's the making of a cult figure there.
And look, it's always going to be hard to match up on both Wiedemann and Tom McDonald in terms of marking strength. And we'll talk about Hawthorn a bit later on in the show, but they're probably going to focus a lot on Sam Wiedemann because he's the man of the match. Yeah. But that's going to be don't do that at the expense of Tom McDonald because then he can run riot. So yep, it's great to have two big guys who can take a grab. Harmsy just keeps getting better and better. We've said it every week for the last 6-7 weeks. Fantastic. His game on being able to cover a player and still rack up the possessions, and have 10 tackles. Amazing.
And get forward and kick that goal, yes. Which was just like gut running to get forward and into space for that goal. And
from a beautiful kick by Demonland's own Charlie Spargo.
I mean, if you'd said at the start of the year that James Harms and Sam Wiedemann would be vying off for best on ground in our first final, I think you would have been committed.
Oh, absolutely. So, and look, I was wrapped with our defence as well. I thought who's their forward? I always forget his bloody name because I hate him so much. Tom Hawkins. I thought he got in front of Frosty a few times to take marks, but I still think Frosty had a good game.
Well, the rest of their forward line was absolutely non-existent.
Exactly.
So you can wear one forward getting into space a couple of times if there's no other forwards getting anywhere near it.
But I thought what was good, we were getting them quite wide as well. I mean, Tom Hawkins still kicked a couple goals from the boundaries. He just can't miss that guy sometimes, and I'm glad that he had the ball taken off him due to the Selwood free kick because he probably would have nailed it.
Can't miss against
I mean, you take out the last 2 goals, which were cheapies in junk time. And look, I think we kept them to their lowest score for the year anyway. But you take out those final 2 goals, and there's the story of the night. The back line was superb, and defensively, the whole team was excellent.
So, what do you take out of the 1 goal in 2 quarters things? Do you look at it as, well, we had 11 scoring? I think we kicked 1 goal 10 after the first quarter. But we were still having shots on goal. We just weren't kicking them, and so the effort was there, but that type of kicking can lose you matches. Didn't in this case, but what do you guys think of that?
Well, you wouldn't want to do it every week. No. That's for sure. Yes, we got away with it this time because we were 100% on everywhere else on the ground. But yeah, you can't get away with that every week. But like you said, we had the chances. Like Neil Bullen had the chance, pretty easy chance to extend the lead even further at the start of the second quarter. And there was all those other ones. It was funny, we didn't actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we actually got a goal from anything but a set shot until Nathan Jones at the start of the last quarter, which is not hard considering we only kicked 1 in the middle 2. But there was really that lack of goals out of nowhere. But there were a lot of missed chances out of nowhere. So on another day, that might that might go in. And look, they just kept going.
Yeah.
There was no no one took a backward step because we were missing a few. They just kept smashing into them. They got 2 lucky goals on the break. Maybe not lucky, but they got 2 goals from very limited opportunities down the other end. And look, we were strangling them. It was great. If it was a lesser team, we would have won that by 100 points probably the way we were playing.
It's funny. I was at the game. I sort of, and it happens to me a lot. Sometimes I don't notice Clayton Oliver. And then I look and see that he has 30 possessions, and then I watch the replay and I see all the amazing things that he does extracting the ball that you don't always notice at the game because he's so quick with it. And that happened to me again. Sometimes in the match I was saying, I didn't notice Oliver, and then I had to look up and, he's had 20 handballs. So does that happen to you guys? or
Yep, first half.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Look, I thought Oliver had a good game. I didn't think it was his best game, but you're talking about someone who we've now got extremely high standards and expectations for. So, look, still a very, very good game.
Look, he's had 30 possessions and 6 tackles, so he's the pressure's there as well as being able to extract the ball. My favourite bit of play of his was in the middle. He collided with Selwood. Selwood fell over, and Oliver kept his feet, got a handball out. I'm not sure if we got a goal out of that play. But
his balance was just superb in that contest, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you ever want to describe Clayton Oliver to someone, show him that bit of vision.
He hasn't had less than 10 contested possessions in a game since round 22 in his first season, 2016, on a day when we were absolute slurry against Carlton. Every single game last year he had at least 10. Every single game this year he's had at least 10. You just get that from him every week, and anywhere up to 25 this year against Adelaide, hopefully this week as well. In a game now where contested possession is so important, he is just a completely reliable player that you're going to get something out of every week.
We're really developing a formidable midfield. The Harms, Oliver, add to that, Brayshaw has had the second coming of Brayshaw this year. Look, we always knew Brayshaw was going to do this. I think in his first season he showed us, but then because of the concussions and all that time that he missed, we sort of forget that how good he is, and he's just showing it this year, wrapped with the year that he's had. Moving on, Dreamland Player of the Year. How did your play? Maxi Gawn retook top spot. How did your team, your Player of the Year, Super Mikado?
Well, I had Wiedemann, Harms as the top 2, and then I had Tom McDonald 3, then Oliver and Jetta. So in mine, Oliver has an 11-vote lead over Max. So Max needs to get us to the grand final and somehow find a way for us to get to the grand final without Clayton Oliver scoring too many more points if he wants to be any hope of grabbing the Djakovic. Oliver, I think he might actually be the first player other than Nathan Jones ever to win it twice in a row if he gets up this year. And Bailey Fritsch now can't be beaten in the Jeff Hilton Rising Star Medal. And Christian Salem still leads the Marcus Seekamp Medal for Defender of the Year. There was a late protest from a reader who demanded Bailey Fritsch be elevated into the mix for the Defender of the Year. And then, as if reading my mind, Champion Data posted a tweet showing his positions for the year, and I don't know how the hell they determine these, but apparently he was a forward for the first 4 weeks. He was a wingman till about round 20, and he's only been a defender since round 21. So
no,
that's answered my question.
I reckon he's played in defence a lot earlier than that. But
who am I to mess with Champion Data?
No, we don't
this
want
is just a get out of jail free option for me. And I've instituted a as yet unnamed medal for the best finals player, which will no doubt, I'm going to call it the Nathan Jones medal, but it would be a bit weird to do that now. So the Weed is the surprise leader in that award.
Yes, he is. Speaking of Jonesy, that goal that he kicked and the celebration, there was a photographer who had prime posy for that and captured a great photo of him, which has now been immortalised into graffiti, which will probably be painted over in a few days. But isn't it great to see a bit of Melbourne, bit of the Demons around about town, and not just with the graffiti in Hosier Lane and Higgins Lane or whatever it's called, or Higsom's Lane. But I don't know if you've been driving on the Tullamarine Freeway and gone under that sound barrier thing where it's got the red and blue. And I'm not sure if the red and blue is for Melbourne or they just thought they were two good colours to put together. But great to see a bit of Demon flavour around town.
Well, apparently out my way, I'm in the semi-regional fringe of Melbourne, and my wife was driving out in the country areas, and she went past a road sign where someone had just graffitied "Go Dees" across it, which is just the sign that the frenzy is real.
Well, I don't usually associate Demon fans with that type of behaviour. You would think there'd be more of a "Go Pies" spelt wrong somewhere.
That's how big the bandwagon is. It's taking on all comers,
and it's great. There's only 6 teams left in the competition at the moment, but there's been a lot of articles heavily weighted towards the Demons. Are you sick of all the publicity surrounding us at the moment? I know it's probably because everyone loves a fairy tale story. So we're getting sort of our fair share of media coverage. What do you guys think of that?
Well, it's not just that. I mean, you've only got a few teams left in the competition anyway. The local papers tend to focus on the local teams, so it's sort of Richmond, Collingwood and us at this stage, isn't it, left, I guess?
Or Hawthorn and
Hawthorn. To be finished with on Friday night. But yeah, look, I think there were 3 days in a row where we were on the front of the Herald Sun, that big picture of Jonesy. So I love it. It takes me back to my childhood of waiting for the Sunday papers to come out and hoping that there'd be a Melbourne picture or a Melbourne graphic on the front page of the sports lift outs.
I'm enjoying it as well. I think last week we blew up the media curse with all the stories about us pre-finals, and that didn't have any effect. So bring it on, I reckon. I mean, there'll be a few, no doubt, should the worst happen on Friday, a few Hawthorn fans, we didn't get any publicity this week. But quite frankly, everyone is sick to death of Hawthorn. We've heard the stories. There's nothing interesting now that we can learn about Hawthorn that we probably didn't know last year, whereas all these Melbourne players, not only has no one ever heard of them, but your James Harmses and Sam Wiedemans of the world that have come from the clouds in the last month, and the papers probably didn't even get the chance to focus on Harms, especially in the regular season. It's a much more interesting story, and I think it is going to be Australia versus Hawthorn on Friday night.
Going back about the crowd we were talking about with Charlie Spargo, it really was like it was we were playing an interstate team, because there had to be 60 to 70,000 Dees supporters, or the neutrals who were jumping on board the Demons bandwagon. And I particularly noticed it at the end of the game, because when we were singing the song and all the Geelong bays had left, there were a couple of empty bays throughout, but then 65 to 70% of the stadium was still full with Demon fans. So you could sort of see those areas which were Geelong. But why did Geelong people not go to the game? I mean, it's not like they didn't have their fair share of tickets available for them. What happened there?
I think there's a large dormant Melbourne supporter base there. And even though you get equal ticket allocations, And Geelong have got a big supporter base, there's no doubt about that. But the MCC is primarily made up of Melbourne supporters. And so you get I don't know how many, maybe 20,000. So that's an extra 20,000 in our favour on any given day. So I think that helps swing things.
Yeah, it was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I don't think, unless you get a situation like Richmond GWS in the prelim last year, that we will ever see a game with that large a crowd where we have that bigger numbers in the audience. I reckon it was 65,000 to 25,000 in our favour, and by the end it was 65,000 to about 5,000 because people were bailing out left, right and centre in the last quarter. And the noise, I was in such a zone at the time that I can't go back now and think, was the noise bigger for the Jones goal or the Hannon goal? I'm going to say the Hannon goal because it had more anticipation behind it. According to BT, it went for 35 minutes. I think that was the bigger one because that was the sealer, but the Jones one was mighty as well.
Yeah, both of them were equally spectacular. The Hannon one was where, as I said earlier, was where I lost my voice. And I'll bring up this topic. We've been talking about it during the year. I had a bet with my brother-in-law and his kids, my nephews. They're Geelong fans. It was a season-long bet. I finally won it round 23 when the Dees won, and it assured us to finish higher on the ladder than them. But then, so the bet was the loser has to wear the winner's Guernsey at the next dinner that we have together. And that was the other day. But there was the chance that we play them in the final, which we did, and then if they were to beat us and then had to wear our jumper, it would make my victory not so sweet. But turns out, as we all know, that I got to enjoy watching them squirm while eating and wearing a Demons jumper. So when Hannon kicked that goal, I turned to where they were sitting. I wasn't sitting with them. They were about 30 bays over, but I knew where they were sitting, and my cheer was towards them. And little did I know that they'd already left the ground. So that cheer sort of fell on deaf ears, but I pretended that they were there, and very happy with that bet that I won. Did you see the Wizards celebration? Wasn't it great to see him there? He was going off.
That was just about the best thing that happened on the night, I reckon. And I would have paid an extra $100 premium on the ticket to be seated near the Wiz just for that.
I know people were happy. Can people just stand back and let a man perform, though?
There were people asking,
running over and grabbing photos. No, just get out of the way. He was on fire like that. That's like, jumping on the stage at a theatre performance or something. Like, it was. No one's ever done better work than that in tracksuit pants at the MCG. It was magnificent.
It was great to see, Wiz. It's great to see all the ex-Demon players. You see them on social media. They're all getting back on board, supporting the Dees, and it's good to see. It's good to see there's still got a love of the Dees. So,
do you reckon Jeff Farmer would be the most beloved player who actually played more games at another club? I'm pretty sure he did play more games at Freo.
Did he play more?
Marginally, 131 to 118.
Yeah,
he would be the most beloved player we've got that played more games at a different club. Now, I might be missing someone extremely obvious in this, but there couldn't be too many.
Are you talking about if they started at Melbourne? Because Jordan Lewis is...
well, no offence to Jordan Lewis, but I have much more love for the Wiz than I do for Geordie. Yeah. So...
Yeah, no. You know what? I think I've forgotten that, or maybe I've purposely forgotten that the Wiz played that many games for Freo.
Did us in after the siren.
Yes, he did.
There was a classic moment in that comeback game in 2008 where early in our comeback, something happened and he pointed to the scoreboard. And I love the Wiz, and I loved him then, and all, but I got some mileage out of that yelling stupid shit from the crowd after the game about him pointing at the scoreboard. But no hard feelings. Unlike certain other people who have left our club, no hard feelings at all overall to the Wiz. He's welcome back anytime.
So I think we can cast our eyes on the next game. Now, our injury list is the same, hasn't changed, but there was training this week, and from what I read, did Hibberd, I don't think he got injured at training, but I think he might have come a bit late and left the track early. But it might have been a bit sore. So I haven't heard anything from the club. Has there been anything announced?
Yeah, apparently late today on SEN, they either spoke to him or spoke to someone, and he's 100% fine and ready to go. So no issue.
He had a light training week following soreness.
General soreness. All right, well that's good. Do you guys expect any changes from a winning lineup?
No.
I don't either. I still don't know where Tyson fits in with Viney in there. I see the old Jack Viney as a forward red herring was successfully deployed and then totally didn't go anywhere near playing as a forward.
No.
And Tyson, look, he wasn't terrible, but the problem is I don't really know who you're going to bring in that's going to give any more benefit. I'm still your man Spargo. I don't know if he's just running out of gas a bit at the end of the season, but at the same time, again, not really sure who's going to come in to replace him and provide more. So, look, I'm going to say no, but, maybe a Tyson for Candy Harris or something. It's just, I don't know. I just don't know if I trust the people who are out in a game of this magnitude. So I'd be happy to see no change.
Yeah, it's hard, particularly with Casey not playing this week or last week, that they, there's no form to it's not like anyone played the house down last week and he's knocking on the door.
And you'd be hard done by to be dropped from a side that, on the scoreboard won by 5 goals, but really won by 10 goals. So yeah, you'd be stiff to miss.
You'd be stiff, but if it needs to be done for the tactical side of things, then I guess that's the gamble the coaches have to take.
Yep.
Now, how confident are you guys going into this game? I must say, I'm usually, and all year I've been quite negative. But I don't know, my MFC SS seems to escape me. I'm quite bullish about the Dees at the moment, and I haven't had this feeling for a long, long time. I don't know, am I just drunk with the victories we've had over the past couple of weeks, or is there something to this?
No, I reckon there's substance behind the sizzle, and I was confident before the Geelong game, and I remain confident about this week. Going into Geelong, I always thought that we can knock off Hawthorn the week after too, and that's how it remains for me.
Are you guys? Go ahead.
I do have this unnatural feeling of positivity about things at the moment, but at the same time, I'm terrified of Clarko.
Yep.
But I think from my limited knowledge / interest of tactics, I feel that he stuffed up a few things in the Richmond game. And it's like, I'm just waiting for him to come back with a vengeance now. And he's reached that stage where you just think he's going to have something. It's going to be like, that Wiedemann bloke, I'm going to stitch him up. James Harms, I'm going to stitch him up. So I'm more worried about Hawthorn's coach than pretty much any of the Hawthorn players. And I'm surprised that we're as overwhelming favourites as we are, but I certainly think that probably the same as last week. I think we either win or we go very close to winning.
Are you at all worried about our previous game this year? I think it was our biggest loss for the year. We were
so long ago.
Yeah, it was one. It was long ago. Terrible conditions for most of the game. It's a completely different team, almost makeup of the team. We burst out of the gates 5-2, and then I think we only kicked one more for the rest of the game to their 18 or something. I think they got 16 of the last 17 goals. So. They were doing, their pressure was like our pressure the other nights back in that game. We were fumbling in that game, but I guess it's a different team going into it. So Clarkson, you're right. Clarkson is could be the key. We know he's a great coach, but hopefully our pressure can. Can unstick them. So
on last week's showing, Goodwin, he's not only 1-0 in finals, but he's 1-0 tactically in finals as well. It's not like we got lucky to win that game. So, hopefully, I remember a game, the first pre-season game of 2007, where it was like us and Hawthorn just went in opposite directions. They came from down on their luck, and we came from being allegedly Victoria's #1 premiership hope and just whoosh totally past each other. Fingers crossed, this may even be the night that the Goodwin can pull off a similar manoeuvre on Clarkson.
Binman in the chat room said he tried to call in and would love to hear from him. Try again, Binman. I'm not sure why it didn't. Skype is open, but Skype is crap at the moment. So, please do try again, and we'll take your call. While we're waiting for that, did you see? I don't know how much stock you take in this. Umpires were announced today. My favourite topic. And we've got one of the umpires that I absolutely hate. I don't really know the other two, but Matthew Nichols is officiating, if you're familiar with him. He's the guy that, if you recall, Maxi, when he balled up the ball and Maxi thumped the ball away.
Oh, he wasn't happy.
He got angry.
Yeah, got very angry at old Maxi. So,
well, I was surprised that there was no Wildcat video reviews last week that were completely unnecessary. That's usually a Ray Chamberlain trait. He did call a freeze from about 45 metres away, though. So
yeah, he loves that.
He got something in for the evening.
I don't really know the other two umpires, but let's hope they don't have an influence on the game.
Let's hope we don't know them by name by the end of the week.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I always refer to Nichols as that bald, and I won't repeat the rest of it. Do we dare to dream and even dare to look ahead of this week? Because the preliminary final time was announced. I believe they're playing the game at 1:20 Perth time, being 3:20 here. If we were to win this week, are you happy with that time?
I'd be happy with 8 a.m. on a Tuesday morning preliminary final. Just get me there and we're good to go.
Excellent, as would I. But in general, I do think I sort of don't understand why the games aren't reversed and they're not playing this on Friday night.
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
But I must say, for the... there's so many Melbourne fans who have said they're going to go to this game that it could actually get ropey for getting tickets in the Melbourne allocation. But it does suit me better if we beat Hawthorn. It does suit me better that this game's played on Saturday. So I will certainly be trying to go at the very minimum to Perth.
Yeah, I've said I'm going to go if we win this week. Obviously, taking 1 week at a time at the moment, but I have looked ahead. How does it work? Do we even know how it works?
I know it's on Ticketmaster, not Ticketek, so that should cut off about 25 hours of searching.
Do we get the same allocation as West Coast? What's the story there?
I doubt it.
But why not? I don't know. That's a good one. Yeah, I do. I already know. I know a few Melbourne supporters who have said they're going over. So yeah, it could be flights could be an issue.
They've booked flights on points. They've booked hotels with like 7-day get out clauses. It's bloody insane. Like it's the lid is so far off that it's interfering with civil aviation. It's ridiculous. But exciting at the same time.
Yeah, I mean for us,
I just don't want it to backfire on us. Like I just want to get through this week because I think we can win this week. If we go to Perth, I will think we can win, but I will expect not to. Whereas losing this week now, at the start of the season, you say we'll give you one finals win. We'd probably be like, yay, I'll take that every day of the week. But now I want one more. And I want it to either end in a grand final or an insane road trip to a snake pit full of 50,000 lunatics who are baying for our blood. Now I'm greedy. It's come to that.
I think that's what it is with me. I think I'm getting greedy now. Oh, here we go. There, Skype working again. Well, good evening. Welcome. You're on the air. Who am I talking to?
This is Don't Make Me Angry.
Don't Make Me Angry. How are you going tonight?
Oh, fantastic. How's everybody?
Yeah, we're good. I just restarted Skype, but not only I signed out and signed back in. I've got to work out this being able to turn off the ringing volume, which it was easy to do in the previous version. But anyway, what do you want to talk about tonight?
Oh, just I went to the game on Friday. Had made a trip down from Echuca. And and last Monday night I got I bought my tickets. And I said, I wonder how much the tickets were, and I checked best available tickets, and they were like $90. And I said, that's not very good. So I checked, category 7, and it popped up $35, and then $10 for a child. So I bought me and my son a ticket to go, and then it said M33, and I'm thinking, where's M33? And then do you know where M33 is?
Is it in the forward pocket?
Yeah, well, it's in the Geelong.
Is that where Jeff
squad.
Farmer was?
No, it was in the Geelong cheer squad.
Oh, in the Geelong cheer squad, or next to it?
Right in the middle of it.
Oh, right.
I was right in the, so I got seats right in the middle of the goalposts.
Was it
about two rows back from their cheer squad? And geez, their cheer squad's annoying. They've got these huge flags that they wave around, and you can't see the replay of you want to see what happened with how they kick their goal, and you can't see the replay because these stupid big flags that are all bloody waving the Geelong cheer squad.
Well, I'm not sure if you're familiar with cheer squads, but they generally have big flags that they wave around, and I noticed that the Geelong cheer squads have copied us and have the big faces, the big heads of the players as well.
Yeah, but the great story they had on that night. So there was me and my son there, and I was right in the cheer squad. And in the last quarter, every goal that we kicked, I would stand up and wave my scarf around. So I was right in the middle of the cheer squad, waving my scarf around as as we kicked the goals in the last quarter. They were sealing the game, and I just looked behind me, and all I could see was Geelong faces around me, and I'm like, and my son's like, Dad, get down, stop doing that. I said, no, I'm going to keep on doing that, and keep on taking eyes in the crowd. And then had a nuffy there, and one Geelong supporter touched me with his scarf, and I said, what's wrong? What's the go, mate? What's wrong? I said, what's wrong? You can't handle it, and then when he was going, he said, see ya, and I said, see ya, buddy, see you later. So he had to go in a hurry, a Geelong supporter. So that was a great night. So it was actually a good spot to be right in their cheer squad to give it back to them after those close losses this year.
It's very lucky considering they were probably the only Geelong fans in the stadium.
Yeah.
But in the goal square there was pretty much only Geelong. I was surrounded by them, so as far as I could see, there was more Geelong than Melbourne where I was, at my point. But I didn't mind being in that area. I was like, oh, this is great. And when we were winning, that was really great when I could wave my scarf right in the middle of their cheer squad. So that was very good.
Did you buy your tickets? Was that general admission or was that on the Melbourne membership?
No, general admission.
That's why you were probably in the Geelong area.
Yeah, that's probably it's probably one of the that was probably allocated for Geelong members, and then by Monday night, whatever spare tickets were, once the membership tickets had been given out and the public was open, I guess what they don't take up, their Geelong supporters don't take up, is available for general admission, and that's how you get right in the middle of their cheer squad.
Yeah. That's pretty poor on the Geelong fans' perspective, that they can't out of their what's their membership like, Super Mikado? You might be able to know.
I reckon it's around the same as ours.
Really, I would have thought it was more, but
I'll Google.
It's pretty poor that they had they didn't have. I'm not expecting them to, because a lot of Melbourne supporters come out of the woodwork in finals, particularly because we're not blessed like Geelong have been of making it every year. It's just like every season for them.
Okay, I was a bit out. They've got 63,000.
Yeah, so it's pretty poor that Melbourne supporters are able to get their general admission allocation and sit in their cheer squad. What I loved about their cheer squad was the fact that they were enclosed on both sides by Melbourne bays, whereas the Melbourne cheer squad, had the next, 10 or 15 around them, all Demons. So we really did outnumber them. It was like playing an interstate team. But considering,
I don't like our chances this week of having such a massive stack, but
no, I don't think
I'd
so.
certainly like to.
I think we might. There might be a little bit in our favour. Hawthorn has a massive membership, and they were able to get 90,000+ with the Richmond game, but that's also because of Richmond. But they'll get over 90,000. Are they expecting that grapevining?
Yeah, I think they've said 90,000.
Yeah.
And I think last week there was a lot of people who came from interstate, specifically for A, because it was the first one, and B, because there might not have been another one, who aren't going to back up and come back from interstate again. So it's going to come a bit more into the middle this time. But I'm certainly hoping we get the numbers again. And I'm hoping again that there's only about one Geelong fan within 100 metres of me, one Hawthorn fan within 100 metres of me, like there was with the Geelong fans.
Well, I was in a Melbourne bay, but I was sort of on the end of my bay, and the next bay over was Geelong, and they were very quiet. Didn't hear boo from them for most of the match, which was good too. So not only did they not have the crowd on their side, they didn't really get much of an opportunity to sort of bring the crowd into the game. I don't think we'll get that. We won't have that luxury this time. Bin Man, if you want to try and give a call now, it looks like it is working again. But moving on. Any other topics, boys, you want to talk about? I see that Jade Rawlings got VFL Coach of the Year, so well done to Jade Rawlings. I think he just... Was this his first year in that post? He was an assistant last year and swapped places with... was it Justin Plapp?
Yes, I think it was.
Yeah, so, good on him. Coach of the Year coming, I think we finished second at the end of the year, so, that's a nice accolade to get.
Yep, well, they've got a prelim to deal with this weekend as well, so there might be a bit, I don't know if there'll be more or less focus on it if we don't win on Friday night. People thinking, let's just get something out of this season versus thinking stuff, it doesn't matter anymore. But of course, Casey did make when they stopped losing every final they played in a couple of years ago, they did make the grand final against the Bulldogs. So it'd be nice if they made another grand final, especially because it looks like Bernie Vince should be right if they go another week. And I'm not sure if he actually does qualify, but there's been a lot of talk about him in the playing, so he must qualify on his 2 or 3 games that he played for them.
Yeah, I heard that he may play even this week, but we'll see. I've got another caller on the air. Good evening, welcome to the show.
Good evening, it's Binman.
Binman, g'day, how are you?
Good, thanks. I thought I better call in because I've called in and predicted the victory, the last 3 victories, so I didn't want to lose and feel like it was my fault. So I'm confidently calling a victory for this Friday night, so I think it really sets up well for us this match.
Yeah, we everyone's got superstitions. I think Grapevine, we talked about this, I think, last year about superstitions for the games. I don't know, I'll ask you guys. Super Mikado, do you have a particular superstition that you must follow, otherwise we'll lose? Or
no, I've kind of grown out of them over the years. I always had to eat the Kransky from the Kaiser's sausage outside the Ponsford stand.
Yeah.
I had to eat there before the game. And I always had to sit in the Ponsford stand, but I sort of weaned myself off that a bit and splitting my time between the stands, although I was back in the Ponsford last week and am going back in there again this week, so it feels like home. But no specific. I'm not wearing socks up or walking backwards to the ground or anything like that. Buying footy records. I can't remember the last time I bought a footy record. I know that some people have to do that every time.
Well, they became so expensive I couldn't afford them anymore.
$10.
Bin Man, you got any superstitions?
No, not really. Not for football.
Yeah.
I mean, not for attending football, other than now my new one of calling teams.
Yeah, well, that's why I brought it up.
To generate victories. So I'm a habit person, so this is probably going to be a habit. I don't know what I'll do over summer. But, I think it's really interesting, this game, this discussion about these 2 styles that's emerged in the last 2 weeks. That sort of hold it and control the ball style that Hawthorn play versus it's become de rigueur now, call it the chaos ball that Melbourne play, that Richmond, based on the Richmond game of, forward, getting it forward. And that's going to be the problem for Hawthorn, because the problem for their style is they have to be on, and that's the same thing that happened Geelong. Geelong needed to move the ball properly through the midfield, but their kicking was, of course, our pressure made it difficult for them to do that, but they couldn't execute. Our game plan is less about execution, more on do they bring the 2 things. They need to bring the gut running to the defensive running and that manic pressure. That was phenomenal, the tackling in that game. If Melbourne bring both of those elements, I can't see us losing. So in some respects, the game sets up for us is that we have to, for some reason, not bring that energy. And I think that's the advantage that style has, because surely we'll bring the energy. But Hawthorn, they've got a few, 6 or 7 or 4 or 5 young players, is it Warple or Wimple or... they're the ones who executing a pressure a kick under pressure is a much more difficult thing than committing to making 5-6 tackles in a game. And I really think they are sort of 2 different styles. But I think that we're bringing such intensity, and I can't see, if we do bring that intensity, Hawthorn being able to sort of kick a winning score.
Yeah, my issue with Hawthorn has always been that kicking game, that possession game, short kicks. They always seem to kill us with that. And Sydney sort of did that a bit to us.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's what I'm worried about. But if we can play like we did against Geelong, and with that pressure, that manic chaos theory, whatever they call it, yeah, I think we can get the better of them. But another thing that Hawthorn did last time was having that man back, and now with our 2 talls down there, I'm sure he's going to have an extra man back down there, so that could be a worry too.
And you'll also remember against Sydney, we had a lot of missed opportunities, a lot of missed shots on goal. So that's kind of draws the line between last week and this week. We've got to convert the chances, and we've got to stop them from dinking the ball around and totally unlocking us before they go into attack.
And I think that's the key. There's 2 keys, I think, and one is that the intensity of the pressure, the tackling, but it's really that gut running, that defensive gut running to cover the outlet and to minimise the amount of uncontested marks. And when you do give up an uncontested mark, stopping them moving it straight away. That's what Geelong just couldn't do. All of their kicks were under pressure. Against Swans, in that period where we lost that game, we stopped covering the outlet kick and they were able to move it and transition it. And I think if we can do that, that's. I came in, had a committee meeting and missed the interview with Spargo, so I'm not sure if you asked about their fitness, but that's been the difference in the last 5 or 6 weeks. And I think the thing that Melbourne's such an attacking side all season, but really, and it's started to be noted in the media, I read after the GWS game from round 16 to 23, we conceded the 7th least amount of points, and in that time we played Geelong and we played Sydney, we played another top 8 side, I think, and then we kept GWS, one of the highest scoring sides, to 47 points. Then we obviously kept West Coast, then we kept Geelong to 30 odd points. It's really our defence, all-ground defence is what's really making the difference for us at the moment, not our capacity to score. I mean, we're transitioning the ball quickly, but Geelong panicked with that, and the reason we struggled to score, I think, was that they did drop a man back into our forward line. So, that all-ground pressure is really the critical thing, and I just can't see them not bringing that running.
Yep, we couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, fantastic. I can't wait to the game this week. I don't think I've looked forward to games of football as much as I have. Maybe it's because we haven't made the finals in so long, but I can't wait to get. I wish it was tomorrow. I just want to get out there and watch. I was going to say get out there and play, but that's obviously not happening. Anything?
I must say, I've sort of got a strange calm the last couple of weeks. Like, I've been very excited and I'm really looking forward to it. But I've kind of just had the weight's off and I'm just enjoying it the last couple of weeks. And look, if this one gets close in the last quarter, I'll probably be struggling not to leave the Kransky sausage on the seat behind me. But I just have this calm that halfway through the game last week, it was almost like I was sitting there and watching, a round 15 game against, GWS or something. Like, I just didn't have that tension that I normally do, even in normal games. So I'm sure that's going out the window this week, and it will be absolutely insane. And it certainly will be the week after if we win. But I've just been surprised at how much I've kept my excitement to a healthy level the last couple of weeks. Except when I was trying to book tickets.
Were you worried? Yeah, that's another story. Were you worried at any time in the game, though, that Geelong were going to do what happened to us at Cardinia Park a few weeks back? I think at three-quarter time we were about the same amount up as we were.
Exactly the same amount up. And then kicked the first goal.
I was never worried.
Never worried.
I went with a good friend of mine who's like a real nervous, like the most nervous and pessimistic fan that you get, would be 100 points up, you'd still be worried that they'd come back.
Yeah, but that's me.
I was saying to him at half-time, they were 16 points at half-time. It was the most beautiful night for football, perfect conditions, and we kept keeping one of the best scoring sides of the last 10 years to 16 points. It was a completely different energy and dynamic to the game down at Geelong. We've learned our lesson, and I think the other critical thing they've done is drop Gorn back. He's amazing when he gets back into that hole. And also cutting off the down-the-line kick. The other thing, just the final thing for me about this Hawthorn game, is that in a way I think it's set up perfectly because we didn't play our best game. Sometimes if you're in finals, not having watched many of us, but you see good teams, coming up, they play the best game they can. It's very hard to improve off that in the next final. The fact that we kicked 110, we easily could have smashed them. I backed Melbourne over 40 points, so I was pretty annoyed that we didn't smash them. But we've got something left in the tank, and something they know that they can go up a gear. Whereas if they flogged them by 100 points, they wouldn't have had that in their mind. But they'll be switched on, knowing that I think as Sue Mercado said, if we allow Hawthorn, if we kick 110 against Hawthorn, well, they can beat us. So it's one of those things where often you see them kick inaccurately one week a team, and they'll come out the next week and kick 8-2 instead of 110. And I've just got a feeling that Petrarca could have a big game. I think he struggles with nerves a bit. He just looks a bit nervous, and I think that he's got that final out of the way now, and I could really see him causing some problems for the Hawks.
Yeah, he did a couple of nice things, but definitely probably wasn't as in the game as he was in the final round game where he kicked 3 goals. But yeah, he's teetering on sort of that breakout game that we've been waiting for.
On the topic of winning by 100 points, have we just completely discredited Geelong's last 2 weeks of the season now? Can we just all admit that was a not a great trial compared to, I guess, what we went through? I don't think anyone would argue with that. I think we were all saying it at the time. The only thing that it did was nearly unseat us from, the 5th spot, or had we lost one of those games. That was the only effect it was going to have. But other than that, everyone knew it's not going to be the greatest preparation. They kept saying that they're not worried, but 100% that and the week off definitely hurt them. And that's, they won as many games by 100 points as we've won in the 21st century, and look where it got them.
And I just want to add as well, I said it on Twitter earlier in the week, and I don't really usually put much stock in this, but the way the two teams came out on the other night when they lined up for the anthem, and the Melbourne players were all arm in arm, and they were just sort of standing, there was a lot of gaps between them. There was no camaraderie between them. It was, I likened it to, a champion team, a team of champions versus a champion team. And I don't know if there's anything to that, but I sort of, just even seeing that, I got a feeling that we'd come out firing. And I don't know, there might be nothing to that, and probably isn't, but I don't know, it just sort of stuck out in my mind.
I wanted to think at the time that it was going to mean something.
Maybe it
did. I tried to convince myself that it didn't mean anything, and maybe it didn't, but I did notice the same thing. All our guys were arm in arm, and they were all just standing there, sort of like 22 blokes who'd just met each other on the way to the game. And I was thinking, I want this to mean something, and I'm probably there's some element to go to it to say it did. It did have something, but maybe we were just going to smash them. No matter, even if they did Adelaide-style power stances and all that crap, they still would have got smashed.
Harry Taylor was like almost in the crowd. He was that far away from the last guy. So I don't know. There was just something about it that we came to play like a team. Maybe nothing in it at all. I don't know. Gives any advantage, but I don't know.
It did look strange though. I thought exactly the same thing, and I tried not to let it affect where I thought the game was going. But I did honestly think the same thing when they were lined up. But having never paid the skerrick of attention to any other final Geelong's played in my life, I don't know what they usually do.
Yeah. Yep, I have no idea, but there was something about that I sort of knew we were switched on and would play as a team, but maybe there's nothing to it. Bin Man, you got anything more you want to contribute?
No, that will do me. I'm very, very much hoping I'll get the opportunity to call next week and predict a win against West Coast. I had a bit of a start when there was something about the game, the West Coast prelim game, and the winner of that, will have a 7-day break, which is why they're moving the game to 1 o'clock Perth time. And I thought, geez, that could be us going into a grand final. So that certainly pulled me up a bit sharp, actually, and. Look, I think we'll win, and I think we'll win this week. I'm really looking forward to the game, and I think as Super Mercado said before, it's a tough trip going across to Perth, but it's set up. You have to say it's set up well for us. We've missed Richmond, and we know we can win in Perth because we did it 3 weeks ago, a month ago. So, good call, fellas, and I look forward to listening to the Spargo interview.
All right, it'll be available shortly up on demonland.com.
Go Dees.
Go Dees.
Go Dees.
Yes.
I must say, I received in the mail today a thing from the club regarding premium memberships. And Grapevine, you'll have either received it or will receive it shortly. because I only received the one for my mum's membership at our office. I haven't received mine yet, but it was in regards to the guaranteed grand final ticket if our team makes it. And I think the deal is that if we win this week, that's when you have to sort of register to receive that guaranteed grand final ticket. So I must say, I had a
Richmond fans did that today. They had to register.
They had to register
Ticketek.
today. Yeah.
Good luck to that.
Yeah, because they've made it. But do you want to talk about? Did you have any problems this week, Supermercado?
No, I didn't. So what a surprise that keeping the games apart from each other might actually have been a good idea. And I noticed this week it actually had an option of picking Melbourne allocation, Hawthorn allocation, which it didn't have last week. So I'm wondering if that helps them somehow in the background as well. I'm told the letter, which I haven't received yet, because I've been guaranteed a grand final ticket since 2011, which has basically been a donation every year. But I'm told the start of it, the letter effectively says, "Sorry, but if we're in the final six, the AFL makes us send you this. Sorry again."
Yeah. I didn't read the whole letter. I got stuck in that loop, that refreshing loop. I was on the site about 25 minutes, half an hour before, and probably about 20 minutes before, then it started in this refresh loop, that 10-second refresh loop.
Thousands of AFL fans are transacting right now.
Exactly. So I was in that, but then I was reading on Demonland that people who had got on 2 minutes before had already got their tickets. And I'm sitting there waiting. I don't know if I have to close the window and open it again. I didn't want to get out of the queue, and then I get... So, needless to say, I'm not very happy with my tickets, but I'm not going to complain because there's people that probably miss out. So I'm not going to bitch about it.
I only did 2 devices this time because I was so confident that they wouldn't cock it up. And the phone, I completed the entire transaction and already had the email confirmation, and the PC was still in the queue.
Yeah.
So how it works, God knows. Different IP addresses. One was on a work computer, and one was on my personal mobile. So it's not even like, I know there was some suggestion that if you sort of smash it with 5 different devices on the same IP address, that it
recognizes,
penalizes your position in the queue.
Oh, do you reckon that happened? Because I was doing
that. I mean, that's a theory. I'm not sure if that's actually real.
I reckon that cost me. But then again, I got on, I read on Demonland that someone said, try using your mobile, they get on straight away. And my mobile was connected to my wireless, so it is the same IP address, and that got on straight away when I went to that. But then I went through the whole thing, and it wouldn't let me pay for it. It kept saying, well, you get the option of what type of delivery you want, whether you want print at home or whatever, the straight to mobile. So you would click one of those options and then it would say that option isn't available. So I had tickets and I couldn't buy them. So then eventually so I don't know what happened, but I got royally screwed by a system that apparently worked. So last week...
Well, the good news is if we win this week, you'll have to deal with Ticketek and Ticketmaster because you'll have to register for your potential grand final ticket and buy the ticket off Ticketmaster.
Well, I'm guaranteed a ticket, so I don't. If we do make the grand final, then I don't care where I sit. I'll sit on the stadium roof with the fake bird.
I must say, I've always thought, and this is in the darkest years, in September when I'd be listening to SEN and it was grand final time. I always thought, how does the seating work? Would you guys? Do you guys get to sit together, or does the people who you sit in the same reserve seats as all the time, do they sit together, or is it just going to be, if it happens, we're 2 games out here, I'm not getting too excited, is it just like absolute massive potluck that you'll just get, bang, you're sitting next to this bloke, he's also a Melbourne fan, get to know him?
Well, the thing that I got you could put 8 barcodes into a field. So I assume you could potentially sit with 8 if you had 8 people And I've got 8 people within the family group who have that guaranteed ticket, so we could sit together. Yep. But then we've got a few extras as well, and presumably they might not be sitting with us.
Yep.
And I don't think there's any way to guarantee the, say, 11 or 12 to all sit together.
Yeah,
but
right. Well,
I would
it
say
is a grand
the 8,
final, of course.
Anyway, that's
we're
looking far ahead.
Behind me weekly, and he was sitting in a completely different area to where I was the other night.
No, but that's different. That's just the that's even potluck that you would be sitting with them. I don't know how it doesn't work. Like we've got a premium membership, but you don't necessarily get a better seat than any other member category. That's for these finals games. But presumably the guaranteed seats would. I would hope they'd be decent seats. I hope they don't stick us in the forward pocket.
I very much hope to find out.
Yeah.
In 2
exactly.
weeks' time.
In the end, I'll sit with the fake bird on the roof.
Correct.
Has anyone noticed they must have done something? I don't know if it's because we don't play Friday night games, so it might be different at night time. But there's been a lot less seagulls. There were a lot less seagulls on the ground this week than there have been. So I don't know if they improved their seagull security.
The overall noise and movement of the whole stadium might have warded them off, as opposed to a GWS game.
And the Suns, when there's like 5 opposition supporters.
They're just forming a colony in the forward pocket.
What did you go? We talk about other games. What did you think of Toby Green? His style of jumping into take the mark. Illegal,
disgraceful, and should be outlawed. Questions.
Is it any different to a knee into the head when taking a specky?
That's the funny thing, because not really, but when it's the other way, even sticking the foot in someone's back like that, no one would think twice about it. I guess it's the going down someone's front is just considered so much worse. All I'll say is that, like Joel Selwood eventually ducking into Neville Jedd's shoulder, one day he will stick his leg out like that, and something extremely unpleasant is going to happen to his leg.
Yeah.
Whether that's deliberate or not by somebody else, that something very bad is going to happen to his leg.
I mean, presumably this is sort of kick the body, but if he kicked a face, which he did, didn't he? Didn't he get suspended for a similar incident? Was that
he got a fine, but that wasn't in a marking contest. It was in general play.
Oh, okay.
His boots got Luke Dalhouse.
Yeah. So presumably, if he did one of those mark legs out and kick someone in the face or the nuts. Would that be treated differently?
That would count as too high. But yes, again, if you go up for the big specky and knee someone in the head and take the mark, and put him in a coma, it's no drama. But I guess that's it's a bit strange that down the front, I guess, is considered a bit more extreme than down the back.
And just while I'm thinking of other things, failed to mention Nev Jetta. He didn't get a lot of stats, but a couple of things he did were just fantastic. I put something up on social media today. One of the marks that he took on Dangerfield just read the ball so much better than Dangerfield. And
the stats he did have were flawless. He was 100% disposal efficiency.
Oh, Nev. Don't expect anything less.
I think last week might have been the same, so he's on a streak.
He is a good footballer. Boys, anything else you want to bring up? Anything else you noticed this week? Anything you're excited about other than the Dees?
Yeah, just get me to Friday.
Yep, bring it on.
Yeah, I am excited. All right, well, maybe we will leave it there. Super Mikado, before we go out, always like hearing about what you've got to sell.
Well, we've got, you can go to demonblog.com or demonwiki.org for all your Melbourne-related stuff. I look forward to, I'm not jinxing it, I'm waiting till the finals are over to edit the most finals played page for the first time ever on Demon Wiki. I'm hoping to have a whole bunch. I'm hoping to have 4 to add to that table. And you can get me on Twitter at twitter.com, or twitter.com/demonblog even. And we've got a couple of books handy via Demon Blog or Demon Wiki if anyone wants to read about us when we were shit. Now that we're good.
I think I've asked you this. Is there any plans on a sequel?
If we win a flag, there certainly is. I actually looked in it today at a game at the start of 2011 against Hawthorn. The first line was something like, nothing brings down the feel-good factor like playing against Hawthorn. So I thought that might come in handy after this week, but hopefully not.
Well, Hawthorn have certainly had the wood over us for as long as I can remember. We've had a couple of good wins in my teenage years over them. Most notably I think 91, where we won 2 games in a row, one in round 22 and a final. But other than that, they've pretty much had the wood over us for a long, long time. So let's put them.
Our biggest ever wins against Hawthorn. Let's focus on that. Sure, it was in about 1935, but. Let's focus on the fact that our biggest ever victory in a game was against Hawthorn.
Well, I wouldn't mind breaking that record this week. That'll have me that'll have me resting easier. All right. Thank you, boys. Once again, hopefully we can chat next week on happy terms again. Otherwise, we'll be doing a season post-mortem. You want to join us on Demonland? Demonland.com. Speak to us. All right, we'll be back next week. Go Dees.
Cheerio and go Dees.